Luke 13, verses 10 to 17. Now he was teaching in one of the synagogues on the Sabbath, and just then there appeared a woman with a spirit that had crippled her for 18 years. She was bent over and was quite unable to stand up straight. When Jesus saw her, he called her over and said, "Woman, you are set free from your ailment." When he laid his hands on her, immediately she stood up straight and began praising God. But the leader of the synagogue, indignant because Jesus had cured on the Sabbath, kept saying to the crowd, "There are 6 days on which work ought to be done. Come on those days and be cured, and not on the Sabbath day." But the Lord answered him and said, "You hypocrites! Does not each of you on the Sabbath untie his ox or his donkey from the manger and lead it away to give it water? And ought not this woman, a daughter of Abraham, whom Satan had bound for 18 long years, be set free from this bondage on the Sabbath day?" When he said this, all his opponents were put to shame, and the entire crowd was rejoicing at all the wonderful things that he was doing. The word of the Lord. Thanks be to God.
I'm in the woodworking shop and about to begin a pin made out of this piece of spruce. This spruce was a tree that I'm not sure what age it reached, or where it was planted, or when it was cut, or why. I do know one thing, that God knew this spruce tree when it was but a seed. God knew this spruce tree before it was planted. And that's indeed what one of our 2 scriptures for Sunday says, related to us. God knew us before we were born, before we were in the womb. God knew us. And God called us for a specific purpose. Do you believe that? That if God knew you that long ago, before you were ever born, before your parents knew you, does that matter? And if it matters, how and why does it matter? It matters because God knows us to the nth degree. He knows how we're made. He knows how we think. He knows how we react or act. And he knows more specifically what he has for us next. That's important, I think, to remember. It's important that we focus on that on Sunday as we look at the prophet Jeremiah, who was called beyond his own limitations, his own inadequacies, to be and do more, to not allow his inadequacies to frame who he was and what he was called to be and do. That's what I'm hearing God saying to us. Stop focusing on your inadequacies, your failures, your frailties, and indeed instead focus on God's presence with us, God's preparing us long, 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 long ago. It was many years ago when Earl and Gertrude, who already knew Faye and Mike and Amber, were suddenly surprised 9 years later with Mitch. They assure me that I wasn't a surprise, but I was a blessing. They knew me only at the point that I arrived at the family. in their family. But they loved me before then. They accepted me. They embraced me. And so now it's time to love and to accept and embrace all of who we are. The fact that God knows us and has known us forever. And the fact that we belong to Him still. That matters. And I hope on Sunday that we'll be able to hear again, I knew you before you were born. And I am calling you to do more than you yet imagine. Thanks be to God. Amen.